Yeah.
Hello, Gabriel. I called you because of my necessity, or I wrote you and then I'm calling you because of my inner necessity about getting to know permaculture, or it comes to this my inner necessity to be more connected with the nature and with earth and with the creation in earth. And I get impulse to ask you as someone who is coming from permaculture space to say something more about the permaculture, how the permaculture works in connection with the nature to a man.
That's a huge question. As a as an art, the question is, how do I connect to nature as as a human? And maybe what is permaculture? The first thing that came to my mind is in the way that I think about permaculture, it's inner and outer permaculture. It's inner design and outer design. And let's say, to very summarize very quickly and land a bit of the context of what is whole permaculture, to me is an art and science of design with aliveness and life. So the first thing that came to my mind when you asked me this question about how do I relate or connect to nature is the implemented thought in modern culture due to philosopher and history of culture that we are separated from nature. We are not the nature. And because many of us, the majority of the population on Earth, humans lives in big cities, in concrete, walls, glasses, piece of metal surrounding some of us. This disconnection is real, is effective. It's like there is less touching the plants, less putting the foot on the floor or on the ground. And for the cultural part, I would say I have a proposal to shift it towards another thinking. It's like we are nature, we are Gaia, we are. It's like there's also a quote from a poet that says that nature never thrives if humankind is not present. And I would say, I would more say like this. It's because humankind is not anymore present to itself, to himself, or to herself, or to nature in general, that the connection to nature cannot uh, arise, cannot be there. So that was a bit of an introduction. And then I can speak about me. How do I relate to nature? I think one of the things that I used to do is to touch things, like touching plants, or being in the wild, or just going for a walk and being in the presence of a tree. Could take 5 minutes and I'm in a connection with nature. And then what I do is that I connect to the tree who is talking. I use my mental body to talk to the tree and receive information. It's like It's like talking to a friend. Um, and building a kind of dialogue. I can say the words out loud, and sometimes it really helps because it gives me the sensation in my nervous system, in my energetical body, that it's real. And actually, it's real. I I also did it in groups. It's like not sharing the information that we had together, but talking silently to the tree and then sharing after. And the sharing quite often are converging, like the information that we received are converging. So either there is something that happens on an energetical level, let's say, and this connection, like with you, the connection that I have with you now could be also a connection that I have towards a tree, a connection that I have towards a plant, or also an animal. So is my heart open? That would be the question. Maybe if people are looking this video, is more like, is my heart open? Is my channel from my heart is open? Is there a possibility, even a possibility, that talking to a tree or an animal is possible? Because if I embedded in my mind that it's not possible, then there is no creativity happening. And also what I want to share is not a game about anthropomorphic, like the tree is a human and I talk to him as a human. This is really a work. It took me some years to get there, but also it was quite simple till the beginning. I just did some meditation work to first calm down, breathing exercises, and then just use consciously my thoughts and see what happened. If I let myself speak, okay, the tree is saying that. And then I would say it's more a work of innocence. I believe that us as child, we somehow were present to any possibilities were there. It's like, okay, there is no limit. Why not talking to a tree? Like looking at children talking naturally to their pets or to their friendly animals. It's no barriers. Um, there is no, this is not possible because somebody wrote it in a book. And then, yeah. So I would say the first thing is to get rid of the bullshit that is staying in between the connection, and then experiment and also compare.
What got when I was listening to you, I get this distinction about experiential reality. You know, experiencing, for example, right now where I'm sitting, how I am connected with nature or with earth, with the surrounding. I also, so as you were speaking, that it's not about understanding or having some picture of it, and kind of trusting, or what was coming to me was trusting my body. So I was translating what you are saying into my body, or into my body is kind of the closest thing for me for nature, because my mind has kind of concepts or stories, and I think this go more to the direction of building cities, building houses, or something which crossed me in the mind, which is close me in my concepts. And then I realized my body, kind of what I am sensing in my body, it's kind of a journey. I'm going with my body on a journey to connect with nature.
Yes, and for maybe I can take this example, which is very simple. Is like for many people, it's almost impossible to think to just uh, leave away the shoes and the socks and go walk barefoot. This little simple thing. Even so, there is, for example, I thinking of a city where there is some kind of parks, or you can find some ground, and I just wanna. I have this kind of anger that tells me to screw up this belief that it's all to be connected to nature when we are in a city, for example. And my invitation is like to just get away the shoes and the socks and then go walk barefoot for one moment on a place where there's a little bit of ground, some grass, whatever, and just experiment. And then coming to what you're naming the experiential reality, like, wow, this is real. Maybe I will be afraid because people will look at me because I'm barefoot. And then what is the fear giving to me as a resource more than as a, okay, it's dangerous. And then there is an aliveness. And to me, when I go walk sometime barefoot, there is an aliveness. My feet are really different. I could feel my nerves different. Hmm. And, and this means also getting out of the comfort zone, like or some call marshmallow zone. It's like, okay, we have all those protection that are actually a good service in so many ways. Like it's easy to work on a computer in a closed room and whatever. Okay. But then, and that's the major problem with permaculture and the worldview we have about our civilization. It's like our civilization evolved so much in the technologies, in the protection, that we can see what we gained as potential, as yeah, many powers or possibilities, but we don't see what we've lost, what we have, what we have lost, and what we have lose is the connection to nature. This is and maybe this is a very something that is triggering a lot of fear when I'm talking about this, about many of us that thinks that this is the normal. This is normal to have all those protection around us. But yeah, and still, yeah, there is something that is lost for sure.
And when you are speaking about this loss of connection between between a man and nature, is there a way how permaculture comes to this this I don't want to say problem, but this point where it looks at the missing or not seeing a connection?
Do you mean like scanning for what is missing, or what is your question exactly?
How, okay, I will try it differently. How permaculture address, or is there a way permaculture address this connection between man and nature?
There, I would say I would put an S at the end of permaculture, because there is a lot of different ways to learn or to, yeah, to think permaculture. Most of it is talking about garden. And this is the way that they create the connection from mankind to nature. I would not say it is enough. I would not say it is sufficient, because this way it is, I call it adaptive permaculture. It's like the permaculture that not question the culture. It is the permaculture that is permanent agriculture. But since now it's 25 years that permaculture shifted to permanent culture. And a permanent culture is way not what is modern culture about. And so if adaptive permaculture only talking mainly about garden and how to design beautiful landscape, it's nice. But still, it is adaptive to modern culture that destroys life. So it's a bit like a paradox. And this is the way I'm saying that it's not sufficient to speak about. To me, there is a necessity to speak about inner design and outer design. And inner design, to me, is about, okay, what are the blocks? What are the things that blocks me from connecting to nature, from being nature, from recovering my power, my spontaneity, my creativity? Otherwise, I'm stuck. Okay, I can create a beautiful garden. This is a very nice step, and this is very important too. But then the second layer would be, okay, let's go in an adventure about ourselves and discover how we function, discover how we can create winning happening in the group, like new connection and new cooperation, collaboration. And this is still a part that is emerging in a permaculture context. There are not that much people that talk about it, but yet there is a small percentage of permaculture that investigate it. And yeah, to me, there is a lot of clues in what I call the work of innocence, like becoming innocent. Not in a way it is Judeo-Christic way of innocence. It is innocence in the way that I do things like genuinely as an experimenter, because I want to learn, because I want to grow, because I want to evolve, because I have this responsible childish part of me that want to grow and consider himself as, okay, there is still area I need to grow. And so I'm not arrive on a platform where I'm awake and then the job is finished, I would say.
So it is based on ongoing genuine exploration of this drive, which doesn't make it stuck as a agriculture based on technical development, rather than inner development of what is my connection with the nature.
Yes, and what you say is scaring me, because there are a lot of attempts to bring permaculture on the field of, for example, I think about psychology, anthropology, or because it is like, this is a practice that is designed to be holistic. And to be holistic means go in all the domains that are connected to human actions. So this is why, and we can get lost into the diversity of things to create. But the problem, one of the main problem I see is even so, there are many attempts because of the field of sociology, for example, anthropology. There is still not the basic distinction of four bodies, for example. And just starting with this first distinction that there is four bodies, like physical, mental, emotional, and energetical, gives a very different perspective. And I would say only this distinction is yeah, it's huge. I would say huge.
Would you say in which way?
In a way that when I listen to teachers or even to discussion or books, writings, the openness to what is, how can you say, what is beyond the perceptions. It's like if we are trained in a way, for example, in modern culture, we're trained in a way to think and to perceive things in a particular mindset. So there are already fixed rules about perceiving things. So this is crazy. So that we can only perceive what we think is possible. So already the game is ended right from the beginning. And then what I see many teachers doing is that they try to bring poetry, because in poetry there is this sense of place, this sense of service to humanity, this sense, all those energetical things that are talking about the place of mankind on earth, for example. And they try to bring also, for example, through experiment, could be social or anthropological experiment, more rarely psychological, but sometimes it happens. They try to bring the experience of emotions. And still, to me, it's towards, for example, yoga, meditation, or there's also vision quest in the Americas, for example. So there are some options there, but still, it's like giving some food that will somehow be eaten by the mental body. And the problem is that we continue to grow this deficit of learning that comes from modern culture, education, that grows a big head, mental body that is full of understanding and knowledge, but don't know how to handle it. And so that's why this distinction about emotional and energetical body and the four bodies is so important, because then, okay, I'm not putting anymore even the bits of poetry. I could listen or learn it by heart, but if I cannot make it real to my energetical body, can feel the tinglings of energy in my body, or feel the pain of fear that this planet is kind of being destroyed by our action and behaviors, or the anger for it, like I want to do something for it, or the sadness for grieving it, then again we're stuck. And we can learn the beautifulest things on the earth and have libraries of books. This won't change anything. And I'm pretty sad about that, actually. I'm sad that this distinction is not really used in the field of permaculture for now. That's something I want to bring.
Do you have, I'm cooking question in me about an personal experience from actually using this distinction of four bodies in a permaculture, kind of personal experience from you?
what I've been trying to do before I met the possibility management context, and that just opened to a new perspective. I've been trying to do almost the same as many teachers. Like, I mean, trying to unfold the potential of humans. So I've been doing an inner permaculture and an outer permaculture into the way I've been proposing to build a garden together. Like just the simple idea of creating a garden together with people that don't know themselves, each other's. They don't know each other's. They don't know how to practice with the tools, don't know how to plant, don't know how to seed, or don't know how to use a fork, or a shovel, or whatever. And then they go on the field together. And okay, this is here, we do that, and then we go. And then what happened there is that there is a lot of fear that pop up. But it's fear that tells, what is my place? Am I able to do this or not? How am I gonna realize this task? And then and so on and so on and so on. And people talking to each others, like to help each others naturally. So what I've been doing is basically that. It's like learning by doing. And to me, this is a first step of going for the four bodies. My next step would be to build a permaculture workshop or training with this, directly saying and giving this distinction, because this brings another kind of awareness. So I'm not, what I want to say is that I'm not judging that many permaculture are not efficient. I'm saying they don't have the distinction of the four bodies.
And so you were speaking about this example of people being brought on a garden without any knowledge, any background of what to do, and then emerging with the fear, like what to do, and collaborating with each other. And I'm struck because from kind of my experience of me going to the garden, kind of having asked someone who knows, kind of I even realized that kind of I'm partly giving my authority away to a person who knows more. Instead of to discover on my own. Or partly like, okay, I ask for everything, and how to shift this, or how to move this kind of place into a discovering on my own.
I'm not totally having your question. Can you say it again? You're saying that you've been discovering for yourself, by yourself, and not asking.
Not really. There's this point. What I mean that I come to the garden, and then I'm starting to trust the other person that kind of he will do it. He knows how to do it. I'm giving my center to this person instead of actually my own discovery. If I burn my garden, or I think this is to my own discovery would be then start my own garden and learn from actually what mistakes I do, how I learn this is working, this is not working. Then that comes to me. So my question was kind of answered by myself, I think, because the question was how then actually to get my own experience, not to rely on our authority outside.
Yes. And that's a huge shift. To many people wants to have this knowledge that we were talking about. And it's not about mind food. It's not about this knowledge, these old books and scripts that to implement in our head. It's really not that. Or the modern culture. I suspect the modern culture, I would say modern mankind, dreaming about being robots. I suspect that. To me, the things that you do, and many people that came also to my workshop has this capacity of jumping into the unknown. It's like, okay, I don't know, then I will practice. Or I just need a little bit of knowledge, like a very small script with, okay, what to do, or talking to a gardener, and then I go. And to me, this is a totally different perspective than putting a toe on the water and never go to the water. So
How would it look then to go to the water?
how?
How would it look?
What is?
How would it look to go to the water?
It looks scary because then you are your own responsibility. You are on your own. Then you make your experiment. Then you fail, and then you success. And this means that you are also responsible for your success, and there's a lot of joy there.
Yeah, when you are seeing about the success, I imagine that I'm living on my own somewhere out of the society or out of the supermarket, and I need to take care about myself. So then I feel the pain when I'm not succeeding, because when I'm not succeeding, then I'm having no food. I would say that if I'm planning kind of structure, and then I'm innerly learning how through my mistakes, and yeah.
I think you're you're talking about the autonomy dream or desire that is laying on the permaculture context. And there is another word that is often used is in English, I think it's interdependency. It's like the way that you relate. So shifting from the point of, because there is a scarcity game with autonomy game. You can do everything by your own, but be alone. And this is a very shallow way of rejecting the reality. Another way is dealing with reality. And in order to deal with reality, then somebody must find a way to relate. How can I relate respect or with responsibility with a supermarket, for example? Like maybe I can take the food that is not sold and then bring it to a free market and give it for free. And this is another perspective. It's like, okay, there are those evil things out there that is called supermarket and mass consumerism. But still, I can do things differently. For example, the computer I am, and I'm talking with you, is a reprocessed computer. So that's why it was supposed to be thrown away, and a company just refit it for being used again. So this is another way of dealing with technology, not having the last, let's say the last model, for example, not following the mainstream, but instead using the waste as a resource. And this is one of the principles of permaculture. It's like seeing in the waste the resources. The best example is the compost for the garden, but I gave another example, for example, for the technology. And there are many. And speaking about the resources, one resource that is not pretty much used in permaculture, except some teachers do it, is meeting the real I, meeting the real being I am. And to me, this is the resource zero. The very, very first resource is me. Like finding again and again who I am.
So when you are speaking about the real I, it's about finding and again who I am, who I am at each moment.
Yes. And then there is this aliveness that comes and doesn't cheat. It's like, yeah, this is real. I am vulnerable. Yes, this is real. I can die. This is, I can feel that this moment is very important, or what I'm doing is really important, so that I care, so that I'm responsible, and yet I can fail. Sometimes I can speak with another part of myself and not being honest, or being scared and trying to manipulate when I'm scared. Then I made the experiment, and I know, okay, I haven't been really what person I was really. What so so the just to come back a little bit to the things you were saying about autonomy, there is much more wider. The way that we relate to the environment, I would say the environment that is not sustainable and the environment that is sustainable, and the in-between, the bridge, the borders. And then how do I relate to myself? Like, do I need to just kick my ass to get the things done all the day? That would be a very painful perspective about myself. Like, wow, do I trust really myself? What person is it that is acting this way? So it's not being natural, becoming natural again, being in connection again with the elements, with humans, with plants, with animals, with nature, and with myself is not a new age perspective where, like, okay, let's do this and then everything will change. It's an adventure. It's a, I would say it's rather more a path, or yeah. So yes, and making experiment and failing, and then okay, I failed, then okay, I will do differently, etc.
Yeah, I'm touched, or what lands in me is this, and we are speaking the interconnection. Actually, what I'm hearing, I don't know if you said it, but the necessity for interconnection, which makes even the play. What comes to me right now is also the interconnection with the nature. So it's kind of what, when we are hiding the connection with the nature, it somehow feels that we are also making more separation between a people, and the interconnection kind of goes away. It comes the sadness about actually that this natural connection is also between a people, and this necessity as the connection for nature. I need to also maintain the connection with the people, so I can grow.
Yes, yes, and I feel sad about that, and scared when you share that. I have so many quotes of or poets or people that just share about this connection in town, like seeing this huge crowd of people walking to different places, to place, without talking, without sharing authenticity or honesty, or or just stopping at some point and just looking at a tree, or just being there is so scary. It's so scary and sad about what I was sharing about the development of humanity in this context of modernity, like huge technology, but such a small heart. And yes, this is really painful.
And it already opens this, as you are saying, it's painful. This my question, am I connected really with the pain I feel, which is there happening? And this already I'm shifting this connection already into my inner disconnection, into my, as you were saying, into inner permaculture, like in my inner disconnection with the parts of me, or even like in the with my heart or my feelings.
Yes. And this is a challenge, because if we are not, as I said, about we are not familiar about the distinction of the emotional body, then we think that emotions are bad or dangerous or might be scattered away. I have another perspective about that. What about getting married? What about falling in love with our emotions and feelings? Okay, I have a huge pain right now, which is setting in my heart. I take the responsibility for it, because if I was irresponsible, I would have said, Martin has said it's such a dangerous question that it's his fault. I would say it's your fault because you bring this dangerous question, and then I feel pain and it's your fault. But I'm the container. I have bodies and I received your question. And what I do from it is my responsibility. I cannot say it's somebody else's problem, or I'm really in a state I'm so scared that I cannot even deal with my pain. And the very first thing is, so, okay, I have this pain now. What can I do from this point? And it's like, okay, I can listen to it, I can breathe into it, I can. The example I give is a kind of extreme, like falling in love with it. But it's a totally different perspective of rejecting it. Okay, I don't know it. Wow, a stranger. I don't want it. Okay. The other way is more an aikido. Like, okay, you hear pain. There is a huge sadness and fear in me right now. I can feel the pressure on my shoulders. So I reconnect back to my physical body, which is also a great tool for that. I can feel tension in my neck. I can feel my throat, my sore throat. And then the energy is moving, and there is something shifting in my body.
Yeah. And as you are saying, I would add being the feelings, as you are saying, marrying the feeling, the emotion, and as edge research of being it. Like for a moment, it kind of allowing. I'm encountering, for example, fear. If it would consume me, like the fear, the emotion or the feelings would consume me. So why not to do an experiment for 1 minute and like let myself be consumed by it and experience that. How is it to be that feeling, that emotion, and then act from it? Yeah. And I'm coming, like I'm somehow coming to edge of my research, or even what I see, kind of coming to this point where the feelings are one of the very important part of the inner permaculture, what I'm hearing from you.
Yes, I would say this is a huge shift from modern culture that is thriving on very high material development and such a poor emotional development. And it's a huge gap. It's like, okay, we created this huge world with planes that can go from the other side of the earth in 10 hours, or we can send rockets to the moon, or even soon to Mars. But we still cannot connect to the wisdom of our hearts. That is painful. That is, yeah. And so, yeah, that's a huge part. I would say it's a huge part, and it is a first step towards connection to nature. And there are other ways of perspective. I'm thinking about the work that Reconnect, for example. That is also an example of how to relate to nature. But still, it yeah, it takes some courage to go there and to not fall into the trap of rejecting the emotion of the feeling and saying, okay, I don't want this here. I don't want this here. Because then I can follow a plan and then you become a robot. And to me, now I'm more scared about becoming a robot than just scared of feeling a feeling. Yes, sometimes I'm scared because this is a huge amount of energy, but yet there is so much wisdom and so much seeds for a connection that it's worth the shot.
Thank you, Gabriel, about bringing this shot and the path to the awareness.
Thank you. I feel joy about having embraced so much subject in a very small time.
Me too. And so for me, this is kind of end, or like it feels like the theme is around this for me about actually how we were navigating through this kind of open question to the point of the heart. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, and I would add this is also a beginning. That what you've shared and what we talk about is a starting point. And I love that too. Thank you. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Gabriel.